because I know when I open my eyes in the morning, I can go eat. I have to heal the inside first and then it can heal the outside. Sort of how much like damage I did to my body. If I learned anything through that admission, it was how out of touch a lot of medical professionals are with mental health cases. So I was basically medically compromised. I had people tell me that this was my fault, that I'd gotten myself in this position, that I was just trying to make excuses for myself. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jess Tatham. This channel is dedicated to my anorexia nervosa recovery journey and showing you my life and how I'm finding myself and recovering from this eating disorder. So today's video is going to be my first recovery update. If you can hear weird noises down here, it's because I've got Bo here with me. Say hello. He's just very clingy today and there's no one else home, so I let him come and chill with me. So if you hear snorts and licking noises and everything like that, it's just him sitting down here next to me. So he's going to be my little moral support for this video. So I wanted to do a recovery update for you guys today. So before I get any further, this is obviously a big trigger warning for anybody with mental illness, eating disorder, anorexia triggers. We're going to chat about weight gain, we're going to chat about hospitals, we're going to chat about like doctors and appointments and everything like that. So if anything of that is triggering to you, please skip over this video because we're going to be going fairly in depth. I've made a whole heap of notes on my phone, so I am going to be reading off that a fair bit just so I can get everything that I want to say in the video so I don't forget stuff. So quick background, I was diagnosed in March of this year with anorexia nervosa, and I also was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and obsessive compulsive tendencies. So it's been quite the journey of recovery this year, and especially during COVID lockdown, it's been challenging and overwhelming. But I've definitely made progress. There's still a lot of progress to make, but we'll get all into that in the video. So I've broken up this video into multiple sections. So we'll discuss weight gain, hospital admissions, appointments, mental health changes and medication, what I'd wish I'd known, and what I've learned, and positive changes that I've seen in recovery so far. So I think this is going to be quite a long video, so I better get into it. But before I start, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video as well, and follow me at Jess Tatham on Instagram to stay up to date with my new video posts and also my day-to-day life. So let's get started into my recovery update. So the first topic that I'm going to start with today is weight gain, and Bo's just decided to jump on my lap now. So weight gain has been very challenging for me. So I will just say first of all is I do way less now than I did when I was diagnosed with anorexia. This has been something that for me has really blown my mind and really shown me sort of how much like damage I did to my body, because I was down to like 1.5 meals a day when I was diagnosed. Well, not hardly meals, like I wasn't eating much at all. But now that I'm eating like 6 times a day, I lost weight. Obviously, because my body's just using up any energy I give it to heal, but it's just something that's blown my mind and something that totally goes against everything ED tries to tell me. ED still tries to tell me that I will continue to gain weight. It's really hard with weight gain, so I haven't had any significant weight gain. I've just sort of gone up, like sort of teetered on this weird level, and it's really hard to combat the ED thoughts when you do go up in weight a bit with the logical thoughts. So obviously when you go into the doctors and if you do go up in weight, everybody's really happy about that, but it is really challenging to join in on that happiness because immediately, my experience has been that I have like ED screaming at me, telling me that I shouldn't gain that weight and I should try to lose it and everything like that. So yeah, it's just really strange. Weight gain is something that I can't comment much on because it's something I haven't gone through yet. It is something I'm trying so hard to do at the moment. And this is what I mean why the body just shocks me. Like in this last week, I have never eaten more in recovery than I have. Like volume wise and calorically, like I have been at the start of recovery. I was definitely still trying to do the healthy approaches, so eating a lot of fruit and veg and sort of the lower calorie foods. But now I'm definitely much more committed to choosing those calorically dense foods and I have been, and then I was down in weight this week. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm sure eventually it'll start catching up and I will start gaining. I've just got to eat more and more and more, which is really challenging. I just thought weight gain is something important to touch on in recovery. Obviously, it's about healing the mind, but obviously, especially with anorexia, recovery does come with gaining weight. But yeah, that's something that's been challenging for me because it actually hasn't happened yet. And that in itself has been quite distressing. So next up, we're going to talk about my hospital admission. Now, this is something that I was very, very public about. I did actually post a whole vlog of my week in hospital. I was admitted to hospital for a medical admission. So I was basically medically compromised because I was severely constipated. That is the truth, the joys of recovery. And basically I couldn't eat. It was impacting my mental health and I was losing weight and we couldn't catch it. So I had to be admitted to hospital. The admission was fine. They just literally put me on like massive amounts of Movicol and monitored me. And then after a week, I went to the bathroom and I was discharged. That admission though was really awful. If I learned anything through that admission, it was how out of touch a lot of medical professionals are with mental health cases. Obviously, it was preferable for me to be admitted to a mental health hospital, but at the time we just couldn't get admissions. So I had a pretty awful experience. I had some nurses and like psychiatrists say some pretty awful things to me. Like I had people say that I wasn't skinny enough to be anorexic, that I looked really well and healthy, and that was one of my lowest points during this whole journey. Like I had nurses telling me about how their daughters were bullied for their weight and like what my tips were. I had a nurse say to me that, oh, when I was your age, I wanted to be really skinny as well. Like, you're never skinny enough, you know, and then she's like, now I want to lose weight. I had people tell me that this was my fault, that I'd gotten myself in this position, that I was just trying to make excuses for myself. So a lot of people were really nice, but I do want to preface that like they are literally multiple comments that I got from people in the hospital, and it's very like easy for them to say that because they just don't understand, and I just had to sort of be like, yeah, like, okay. But it really does sit with you, and ED likes to hold on to anything negative. So being told you're not skinny enough when you're still struggling to come to terms with the fact that you're even sick is really challenging. So yeah, my hospital admission was a week long, and that was for the constipation. And then I am currently in the process of potentially participating in an outpatient recovery program. I was offered a mental health unit inpatient admission a few weeks ago, but I decided to turn it down just because of my anxiety of going inpatient at the moment. I just don't think I could handle it. But the same facility that offers a like sort of an inpatient outpatient approach where I can do some modules and learn and everything with that. So next up is appointments. So all of my appointments and everything are pretty much the same as what they were at the start of my recovery journey. I see my GP once a week, and there I do a weigh-in, a blood pressure check, get my bloods done, and an ECG sometimes as well. I see my dietitian fortnightly, and I see my psychologist weekly to fortnightly. But yeah, nothing really too much there. The appointments are really exhausting and overwhelming, so I always try to be kind to myself on the days I have appointments, take it easy. The ED voice can be very, very strong on those days. The appointments are really important and have been really integral to ensuring that I stay on track, and I love my team and they're really supportive. So that's very, very nice. Okay, so next up I want to chat about mental health changes and medication in recovery. Now this is obviously all of this is personal to me, but this is obviously very specific to my experience and my condition and my choices for my recovery journey. Just want to say that. So my mental health has been pretty bad. If I'm honest. My anxiety and depression have gotten worse through this process. I think it's sort of come to the territory of recovery. My doctor put it into really good words once. She's like, once you've committed to recovery and do it for a while, you realize that you're in it for the long haul, and it's just like every day you've got to push yourself and deal with this, and you can't mute them anymore by starving yourself or engaging in your old ED behaviors. Like, you've just got to do it. So that's been really hard, and sort of having to really pull back from my life and rely on other people as someone who always has a plan and everything, it's been hard for me to detach from that part of my life, and that has brought on a lot of anxiety for me. So yeah, that has been rough, but I have been getting help to deal with that, which I'm so grateful for. But yeah, that's sort of a bit of like a sour point of recovery so far, I guess. With all of that, a couple weeks ago, my depression got really bad and my panic attacks started to come back when it came to food, when it came to decision making, when it came to life. I was getting just really bad panic attacks. I couldn't pull myself out of this deep sadness for no reason. And I made the decision to go on antidepressants. It's been something that I have discussed with my doctor for a fair while, and we decided to go in and start them. I haven't been on them for very long, so the full effects haven't set in, and I'm actually just about to increase my dosage of them. But it is something that I believe in, that can work. I know it's a very personal decision, but it is something that I have now decided to commence because my anxiety and my depression were also impacting my recovery journey and my motivation in that. So obviously, I don't want to relapse again by falling into a darkness that this anxiety and depression is triggering. So that is why I made that decision to go on them. It's also very hard with mental health, I've found, to stay connected to the reasons for recovery. Obviously, I feel very disconnected still from things happening around me. That happens A, with like a starved brain, and B, obviously being anxious and depressed. So like I find it hard to laugh in conversations, to really engage in conversation. Yeah, it sometimes makes it hard because the ED voices can really take advantage of those moments and be like, trick you into thinking you were so much happier when you were engaging in ED behaviors and everything. So that's been a really challenging part of recovery. I did think it was going to be like you're better, yeah, you're eating, good job. But it's definitely been much more of a roller coaster, not linear at all. Every day, every meal really is so different. I can wake up in the best mood, breeze through breakfast, and then bam, panic attack, and the rest of the day is a write-off. So that's something I've learned, have to go with the flow of my mental health and try my best to sort of find things to do that are a bit more mindful, that help me to attempt to disconnect from those voices in my head that are quite cruel and mean to me. So next up is what I wish I'd known at the start, or what I've learned in recovery so far. So I'm just going to list them off as I've written them here because they're sort of all pretty self-explanatory, and I've touched on most of them already in this video. I just sort of want to summarize them. It's going to be hard. I just said that. For some reason, I thought recovery was going to be like, okay, cool, you're eating, good job, you recovered. No, it is so much harder. It's so much harder to combat those voices. People don't understand how hard it is to combat those voices. So, just eating is not it. And anorexia and any eating disorder is a mental illness. It's not a physical illness. So just eating is not going to solve it. So, and I thought it did, to be honest. I was very ignorant to the fact when I first started recovery. Weight gain takes a while, especially for me. I've already discussed this, but I have not gained weight yet in my recovery journey, despite eating exponentially more than I was eating when I was diagnosed. Obviously, I'm expecting soon my body to catch up with what I am eating and that weight gain to start. But again, it's very hard to gain weight. And I was warned of that at the start of my journey, but I didn't believe any of the doctors. D was like, no, you'll be different. You'll gain weight. You're not going to stop gaining weight. It's going to be crazy. And no, it is very challenging to gain weight in recovery, especially early recovery. Your medical team know best. They've seen it all before. Even though everybody is different, your medical team are really there to support you as long as you trust them and have a good relationship with them. And I'm very lucky that I do with mine. But yeah, as I said, I've questioned a lot what they've said to me, and every single time they've turned out to be right. So it's very easy. ED will try its best to trick you into thinking that they are trying to make you gain an insane amount of weight, make you unhealthy, make you a different person, etc., etc. And they're not. They want you to be the best possible you, and they will be there to pick you up when you fall. They're not going to sugarcoat things, but they're going to support you. Another thing is that there are so many more aspects to anorexia and recovery than just the food side of things. So dehydration, dizziness, mental health, social aspects, everything like that is impacted. And yeah, they're all things that I've sort of experienced, like social withdrawal and obviously my mental health issues. And I've had those physical issues as well with dehydration, dizziness, constipation. So yeah, it's so much more than food, and it continues to be so much more than food every single day. Insomnia, to never being able to get enough sleep. The exhaustion is insane, and something that I thought once I start eating more, I'll have more energy. No, your body is working and trying to repair. I've been so exhausted, but also I have been struggling with some insomnia some nights. Like I'll go through a couple days where I really struggle to sleep, and then for the next week I pass out at 8 and wake up, 12 hours later, and I'm still exhausted. So it's a really strange sleeping schedule, and something that I didn't think it would impact my sleeping schedule, but obviously trying to combat a lot of really evil thoughts with my logical thoughts in my head, and obviously thinking about food a lot. My brain is constantly wired and overwhelmed, so that can either exhaust me or keep me up at night. My hair is falling out now more than it ever did before I started recovery. I was suffering with hair loss when I was really malnourished and restricting, and I thought as soon as I started recovery that would get better. Absolutely not. Obviously my body is in a lot of stress, and it is still malnourished. It's trying to heal itself with the food that I'm feeding it now. For right now, my hair loss is insane, and it falls out so much. I've got bald patches. Like when I put my hair back, you see them. I've started using like hair thickening shampoos, but yeah, it's much worse now than it was during, but I know that'll slowly start to get better as my body like catches up and heals more. Then it can focus on these external factors. It needs to heal the inside first, and then it can heal the outside. This is something, I'd wish I'd known from the start, but also something that I've learned is I tried for a very long time, and it was in a lot of my vlogs, to have a strict schedule. I was like, I feel out of control. I need to get back into schedule. And I was waking up at 5, doing some yoga, reading, having breakfast. And I had this really good schedule going. And for me and for my personality, that is 110% something that I thrive on. But what I've learned is that is not what's best for me at the moment, and that was really hard to acknowledge, but I've learned that my body just needs rest when it needs it right now. So if that means sleeping in, if that means not doing yoga, if that means not reading and just sitting in front of the TV, even though like for me I struggle with extreme guilt and everything with that, I just need to do it, because if I don't listen to my body and let it heal and let it do what it wants, it's not going to get better, and I'm just going to prolong recovery. So a schedule in recovery I don't think works, and that is coming from someone who is organization obsessed, who is diary obsessed, who always has to have stuff planned out to the hour, who always has like a wake up time, a bedtime. No, that is out of the window. I tried it. It didn't work. It honestly just stressed me out, because when I did feel exhausted, I couldn't explain it, because I'm like, I got a full 8 hours last night, and yeah, your body needs more rest, and you just need to throw away that diary and listen to it. And to wrap up this video, positive changes in recovery. So I know that some stuff in this video, a lot of it probably has been negative, and I don't mean to paint a negative image of recovery at all, because obviously it is just a lot of hard work for a really positive outcome, and the only good outcome. Like literally it's recovery or a very sad downward spiral. So I do want to wrap up on positive changes that I've already seen in recovery. And again, I'm going to read them straight off my list. Less leg pain. I had a really bad, exhausted, restless leg pain when I was restricting a lot. And now that I've gotten up to my 6 meals a day, I don't get that as much anymore. I still get it sometimes, but it was like a constant thing. And I felt like I was walking, like pushing through something all the time. Like it was like my legs were just like stuck, and I was like dragging them through. It was a really weird pain. I'd never had it before, and except like until I started restricting and everything. And yeah, so I don't really get that anymore. More energy. I know I just said how tired I am, and I definitely am tired, and obviously for my videos I do tend to be a bit more blah, I like to make them entertaining to watch, but I definitely do have more energy. Obviously still not heaps, but I definitely at least have a bit more, and that's nice. And it sort of comes and goes. Like some days I have a lot of energy, some days I have none. but it's nice to have actually like the ability to go and do stuff and not just like sitting around because you're so exhausted and overworked. Relief knowing that I can eat. This is a bit of a weird one and something that I didn't realize for a while that I felt, because ED is still so mean in my head and tells me that I can't eat, shouldn't eat that, should stress about food and everything. But when I was really restricting, every day I'd wake up, be like, oh, I need to wait until tonight to eat. Oh, I can't eat. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But now sort of knowing that I can is like a relief. Like it's one less thing to stress about, because I know when I open my eyes in the morning, I can go eat. I have 6 meals ahead of me. And while that's scary for ED and I still panic about every meal's calories and everything like that, that is still there. Hello. It's almost like a relief to know that I can go eat whenever I want now. So yeah, that's something nice at least. Also positive is being able to engage in little things like going to cafes and restaurants and having stuff that I actually want. When I was restricting and prior to recovery, I'd go to a cafe and get a black coffee. And although I really like black coffee, it wasn't something that I wanted to get at a cafe because it's literally coffee in water. Like, how boring to pay for. But now I can, again, still stress about the calories, but I push myself and challenge myself to have milky drinks like a chai latte or a hot chocolate or a matcha. And sometimes I still get coffee and sometimes I still get black tea, but it's about, I can go there and be like, like what do I want from this cafe today, and have that, which is really nice, instead of panicking about going out and pre-reading the menu and then ordering something that I don't even really want and being jealous of everybody else because they get to enjoy this experience and I don't. Not anymore. I enjoy it too. Even though it's still stressful, recovery is making it that little bit more enjoyable. And finally, trying new foods and trying fear foods. Trying fear foods is terrifying, and I honestly don't think until you've experienced disordered eating or an eating disorder, you can really understand how terrifying it is to face a fear food. It is really scary, and I have faced a lot in my recovery journey, and I still have a lot more to face that I'm just too terrified of even at this point. But by facing fear foods, I have found a lot of foods that I really enjoy and foods that I really missed. For example, peanut butter, a huge fear food. And it still does scare me, but I have it every day. And every day when I have it, it scares me. And every day my ED screams at me, that's too many calories. And every day it tries to get me to restrict it. But it is so nice to have one of my favorite foods back in my life. Same with bananas. I stopped eating bananas. Now I have a banana probably 4 times a week, 5 times a week, maybe 7 times a week. Who knows? I generally have them with breakfast, but I don't always have them. Anyway, they're nice, you know. I've been able to have dips and crackers at social events again, stuff that I wouldn't have had before. I've been able to try like packaged biscuits and stuff like that, which I haven't had since I was a kid, and enjoy them. And again, although they're terrifying and scary, and they still are, none of my fear foods are like not scary anymore, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if I went right now and picked up a banana, even though I know I could have that and I face that fear food, it still scares me. The calories and the fear of those calories are still there for me, but I'm able to push through that a bit more and actually face them and deal with them. So that's really nice, and it makes eating a lot more fun and enjoyable, even though obviously it's still stressful for me. But yeah, so try your fear foods, push yourself to try your fear foods. I need to keep doing it more often, and I need to eat a lot of fear foods a lot more often as well. Like for me, I have had sushi a few times in recovery, but not a lot, so I'm still really, really scared of it. So I know I need to have more of that, but it's all a journey and we're getting there. So that concludes my recovery update video. I hope you found it interesting. As always, like my videos just seem to be me chatting heaps and heaps, and sometimes I think I talk too fast and go off track. But anyway, I hope it gave you a good little insight into recovery so far. So I've been like in recovery for about 4 to 5 months now, and I have made strides, but there's also a lot of spots that I need to keep pushing and keep going so I can do another recovery update video in a few months and be able to fill you guys in on all the great things that recovery has brought to my life. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching this right now and you're struggling, just know that you can recover too. It's really hard, trust me, I know. I know my videos, I do tend to put on a very happy face and I try not to make them too negative, especially for the day-to-day. It can be such a drag, but know that I'm there with you, I feel you, but I also feel the positives of recovery and the motivation to keep going, even though some days it feels very, very hard to do that. So just know I support you, so many people support you. Sending you my love. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and follow me at Just Tatham to stay up to date with my daily life of just general stuff and also my recovery. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.